The other news this week is this crazy suspicious package campaign. These bombs, or whatever they are, I don't know if they're bombs or not, but they didn't go off, thankfully, that were mailed to or targeted to 10 or 12 Democrats, more or less. John Brennan, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Eric Holder, Maxine Waters, George Soros, Kamala Harris, I think, is in the news. Well, thankfully, they arrested the guy who they think did it. Some gentleman down in Florida. Supposedly he's a Trump supporter. So the media is having a field day with that. Of course, they were having a field day with the fact that the targets were all critics of President Trump. So as a result, somehow critics of these people like President Trump are responsible for the criminal acts of some lunatic mailing these suspicious packages and devices across the country. Now, look, I know the bombs didn't go off. I don't know if there were bombs, but they don't need to go off in order to cause terror. I mean, let's be clear here. If you handled a package, you're going to be traumatized. Your life was put at risk potentially. The staff that receives these packages, their lives are put at risk. They're traumatized. This is a terror campaign. Now, if it's one man or two people behind it, I don't know who ultimately would be blamed here. It looks like they may have gotten at least the key perp here. I mean, that can't be tolerated. If there's anything that we stand for, it's the rule of law. And this is why Judicial Watch has been calling out people like Hillary Clinton, who called for civil unrest, Eric Holder, who also received one of these threatening packages or was targeted with one, who talked about kicking people, Republicans and conservatives, when they go low. That's why I remember seeing these violent protests, and I was a witness to them during the Kavanaugh hearings. Violence and lawlessness targeting their political opponents on the left, all endorsed by the leadership of the left, like Hillary Clinton and company. That can't be tolerated. And lunatics like this gentleman in Florida who were arrested, that can't be tolerated either. So what the left wants to do, by the way, this guy, the politics aside, this is just a typical Law and Order failure in the sense that this man had a rap sheet longer than my arm, and he's out free. And of course, he committed these acts, supposedly, of sending these mailings throughout the country. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of significant criminal acts being committed by people who have been either on law enforcement radar or people who have been let out of prison early, or in the case of illegal immigrants, let out and lawlessly allowed to flee federal immigration authorities with the help of localities. Just tired of criminals being let out to commit more crimes. And everyone says, oh, isn't that tragic? Well, you know what? Maybe we don't have to let them out as early as we do. Or maybe we can't be as lenient as we are in terms of incarceration. Because I don't know about you. I know all these folks are calling for prison reform and not having so many people in prison. I don't know how many people should be in prison. How many crimes are there? Is there a person in prison for every crime that's committed? Obviously not. I would suspect that there are too many crimes still in the United States, which means that maybe we need to be incarcerating more people. But I get distracted. I want to focus on what the left is trying to do with this outrageous terror campaign that took place. They're trying to suggest that conservatives should suppress their speech and censor their speech because the targets were people that conservatives have been critical of. They tried to pull this crap with Judicial Watch. I dealt with the Washington Post this week, who had a big story talking about Judicial Watch's Facebook campaign, educating people on our efforts to expose Soros and tying it to the pipe bomb or device, whatever, that was sent to him. An outrageous smear. What did our work exposing George Soros, getting money to promote his radical agenda in Albania are Freedom of Information Act investigations exposing that our government's working hand in glove with this billionaire's foundations to promote an agenda most Americans reject and would be horrified to learn was being promoted with their tax dollars abroad. What, should we shut that down because some nut job decided to target George Soros because they don't like him? Of course not. But that's what the left would like you to do. When you see people say, we need to watch our words, watch our language, what does that mean? What does that mean? Does it mean Maxine Waters is going to be expelled from the House of Representatives, as perhaps she ought to be after Judicial Watch filed our ethics complaint about her advocating assault against members of President Trump's cabinet? Does it mean that Hillary Clinton is going to be criticized roundly for calling for civil unrest against her political opponents because her allies are not in power? Of course not. They don't care about that. The left can promote violence. I'm not aware of any major political leaders on the right who advocate violence. Are you? I don't. Who say we should beat up our opponents? We should not be civil to our opponents? Who promotes that? No one. So the fact that this nut job targeted people like this isn't going to stop Judicial Watch from trying to hold Hillary Clinton to account for her criminal activities at the State Department, from criticizing John Brennan for his threatening tweets targeting President Trump and his seeming abuse of the CIA to spy on him, from highlighting the corruption of Eric Holder, which is, talk about a corruption rap sheet, Fast and Furious, Pardongate, you name it. That's not going to stop us. I mean, let's all agree that we don't like political violence or assault. Except, I don't think we all agree on that because the left doesn't agree on that. Because now they've used that as a tool, and it's been advocated for their leadership to use assault and intimidation and harassment to target their political opponents. So conservatives have nothing to apologize for, generally speaking. Now, of course, there are always individuals who say things they shouldn't say. They're too out there and can be fairly interpreted as being inappropriate. Welcome to the life. I'm talking about what the leadership of the left is doing right now. As I said, they were heavily organized to destroy and destroy Judge Kavanaugh, overturn the Senate through lawless intimidation tactics. And you have the former presidential candidate for the Democratic Party advocate civil unrest. Says we can't be civil. What does that mean? What's the opposite of we can't be civil? That's civil unrest. So I know this bombing story will go away eventually because the guy's arrested, thankfully, and I hope no one is injured. I pray for those who are traumatized. We all should, having to go through this terror campaign. But I just hope conservatives don't shy away from highlighting the need for the rule of law and anti-corruption efforts where it need be done, whether it be Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative. The left has a right to criticize their opponents. The right has a right to criticize their opponents. It doesn't mean that people who get violent on either ends of the spectrum, the specific leadership is responsible for what they do. It's just absurd.